Hello, I'm James Harvey, the professor of music theory at the College of Southern Nevada with 5-Minute Music Theory. We're going to cover something that's sort of an extension of the Forbidden Parallels video, and that's the concept of unequal fifths. Unequal fifths look like parallel fifths, but the thing that's unequal about them is the quality of the fifths. So let's use this as an example. How about let's move from an A to A and an E to a B and an F. So we have the intervals here, and let me get rid of the unequal part of this so you can see it better. We have a perfect fifth moving in parallel to another fifth, but this is not a perfect fifth, this is now a diminished fifth. So these are considered unequal fifths. So the thing about unequal fifths is that they're almost always acceptable. The only time that they're not acceptable is this. So we'll say they are acceptable. Sometimes it's nice to see this and it'll bury itself in your brain. And if we actually see it written on the screen here. They are acceptable in all situations except when moving from diminished fifth to perfect fifth involving the bass. So it's really specific when it's not acceptable. So in all situations except for this, unequal fifths are acceptable. They are acceptable except when they're moving from a diminished fifth to a perfect fifth involving the bass. And that means that the bass is just involved somehow. So I'm going to show you an example of this sort of unequal fifth involving the bass. So I'm going to do this. We'll put a G here and a C here, and we'll consider the G to be the soprano and the C will be the bass, and then we're going to move here to here. So what we've done here is we've created a perfect fifth moving into a diminished fifth. This is actually okay even though it's involving the bass, because notice it says here in the that explanation of when it's acceptable and when it's not is when it's moving diminished to perfect. That's not what's happening here. Let's reverse that now and let's go from diminished to perfect. Here's where the problem happens. When we move from diminished to perfect involving the bass, the same effect happens as when we get parallel fifths. That sticks out of the texture. That's not what we want. We want everything to be nice and in harmony with each other. Pardon the pun. When we move from diminished to perfect involving the bass, that's not what happens. It actually creates the exact same effect as when you're moving in forbidden parallels. So we do need to watch out for that. So just one more time to summarize here. Unequal fifths are when two voices are moving in parallel at the interval of a fifth, but of unequal qualities. Unequal fifths are always acceptable except when moving from a diminished fifth to a perfect fifth involving the bass somehow. And that just means that the bass is involved. It can be with any other voice, the tenor, the alto, or the soprano. Thank you.